Let's talk tires.
Baby girl love my bop and unlike me too. No roof on my top and my babe see-through. Hating on the pen, don't stop, shit ain't gon' feed you. I've been all on my grind, so why I need you? Baby girl love my bop and unlike me too. No roof on my top and my babe see-through. Hating on the pen, don't stop, shit ain't gon' feed you. I've been all on my grind, so why I need you? Big flex, my swole up, double cup and I'm pulled up. Niggas hating like hold up, it's the problem, I'm pulled up. Big flex, my swole up, hard body they fold up. Shawty say I done glowed up, double text on my
What's going on, guys? I'm back again with another tire review video, another Michelin tire. We've been on Michelin tires for the past year or so. We've really come to like them, and recently they have come out with some new tires. We finally were able to get our hands on some, and I had the perfect opportunity to test them recently, so I want to talk to you guys about these. So this on my bike right now is the new and improved Michelin Force AM2. Now, being that I am mostly a gravity rider, it's a little weird seeing these on my bike. I normally have the more aggressive, more grippy tire on my bike, but like I said recently at Cranksgiving at Canuga, it was the absolute perfect conditions to run a tire like this. As you guys know, I've been running the DH22s a whole lot recently. It is by far my favorite gravity tire. The grip is unmatched, but with that grip comes severe rolling resistance. We raced the Cranksgiving Enduro at Ride Canuga a few weeks ago, and the last thing I wanted for that race was severe rolling resistance. So luckily Michelin was able to get us some new tires in time for that, and it was the perfect place to try these out. So right off the bat, you're gonna notice that the Force AM2 is a whole lot less aggressive than something like a DH22, DH34, or something from Maxxis like an Ascii, DHF, DHR2. But with that being said, they are still a whole lot more aggressive than a semi-slick tire. So for those of you that don't know what a semi-slick is, I'm gonna put that up on the screen right now. Semi-slicks typically have very little tiny knobs in the center with a little bit of a more aggressive side knob for cornering traction. These kind of bridge the gap between a semi-slick and something like a more aggressive downhill tire like a DH22. This is not a tire that you would want to run at downhill parks where it gets steep and you need a lot of braking traction. If you do that, you're probably gonna find yourself feeling a little crazy and out of control. Now, the ideal situation for tires like this are loose over hard or hard pack conditions, and when we were at Canuga, that's exactly what we had. All the trails were running fast. There were some loose over hard, there was some really hard pack, and there was even a little bit of loam too that I got to try these in. Now, before I talk about how I liked them, I want to give you the specific rundown on the setup that I have right now. In the front, we have a 29 by 2.6 Michelin Force AM2, and in the rear, we have a 27.5 by 2.4 Force AM2. Now, there is a difference between these two sizes other than just the width and diameter. With that extra width up front here, that comes with some bigger knobs and bigger tread spacing, which I really like on this tire. If you look at the back tire, they're gonna be squeezed a lot tighter together, and I feel like at times I just wanted a little bit more grip back there. I was supposed to have a 2.6 front and rear, but Michelin did not get the 27.5 by 2.6 in time for Cranksgiving, so unfortunately, I had to run a 2.4 in the back, but it wasn't that bad. Now, another thing you'll notice about this tire is that it has those signature yellow and blue Michelin logos like the DH22, DH34, Wild AM2 all have. The original Wild Enduro does not have that. So this yellow and blue logo is considered Michelin's racing line casing and compound. So this gets the updated compound, the really nice compound that I've come to love on the DH22. So having this compound on this tire helps so much. The original rubber that comes on like the Wild Enduro, not the greatest, it's still good, but this racing line compound is so good. So like I said, the conditions at Canuga were the perfect conditions to test these tires in. Loose over hard, hard pack spots with even some loose loamy sections too. Right off the bat, after I took my DH22s off and put these on, I noticed a drastic amount of rolling speed that these have over the DH22s. If you've ever pedaled the DH22s for enduro or just a trail ride or even just through the parking lot, You know what I'm talking about when I say you can like literally feel them like pushing against you. Those tires have outstanding grip, but they're really only meant for downhill and park riding. Something like this, as long as it's dry, can bridge that gap and make your life a lot easier if you have to pedal. Now, I was skeptical at first that there wouldn't be enough front end traction or there wouldn't be enough braking traction, but those doubts really quickly got diminished. From the first few runs at Canuga, I really came to like these tires. Now, there was a learning curve to them. There definitely wasn't as much grip as a DH22, but you can't really expect that with a tire like this. I did have to make some adjustments though in order to attain a little bit more grip. Normally in DH22s, I typically run about 26 PSI in the front and about 29 to 30 in the rear with no cush core. Since these have a thinner casing, they're a trail casing, lighter tire, I didn't want to take the chance of snake bites or breaking a rim, so I went ahead and put a cush core in the rear, no cush core in the front. And I also dropped my PSI a little bit. So in the front, I dropped my PSI down to about 24, 25, and in the rear, I was running about 27, 28. Dropping the pressure a little bit really helped feel a little bit more traction in the corners and stuff. These tires do slide around a little bit more, so you're gonna have to get used to that. But what I came to find at Canuga was it was so loose over hard that any tire was sliding, specifically the rear tires. So with this tire, there's not a whole like big braking edge like you get on something like a DHR2. So I was finding that braking on this one over loose over hard, it was just sliding, but that wasn't just this tire. When it's that hard pack, basically every tire slides and there's not a whole lot for it to grab. There was definitely a massive increase in rolling speed and the ability to carry that speed. So Canuga has a lot of sections on it, especially on trails like Hemlock, where it's just straight away, full gas as fast as you can go. And this thing didn't feel like it was having any issues at all getting up to speed and keeping speed. So I was super happy with that. That's a race where you want to have as much rolling speed as you can. And I felt like these tires were definitely able to help me achieve that. If you're wondering how these held up in the loose loamy sections at Canuga 2, they did great. There wasn't any like super long and drawn out loamy sections. And if you've ridden loam before, you know that it's really loose no matter what tire you're on pretty much, and that's why people love it. You can flick the tail around however much you want, send some loam flying at your buddies. These tires held up great in it. I felt fine. I never had any like major screw ups in the loamy sections at the end of stage, what was it? Roto Ruckus. The end of that stage had a real nice loamy chute that, I mean, back tire was sliding around, front tire gripped up great. So I mean, these tires aren't meant for loam, but they did well in it. So overall, I was really skeptical about going to a tire with as little tread as this. Normally, I would have gone down to something like the Wild Enduro Racing line, which we do have, but we've not been able to test them yet. So it was a big change for me going from a DH22 to a tire like this, but they really surprised me at Canuga, and I am really satisfied with how they performed. So I'm leaving them on my bike for a while. It's not muddy yet here. Once it starts getting muddy, I'll probably have to change them out for something a little more aggressive, but overall, super happy with these tires. If you're riding fast, hard pack stuff, a little bit of loose over hard, I'd highly recommend these tires. The only issue is you probably can't find them anywhere. That's the case with pretty much all Michelin tires nowadays, and I wish I had a link for you to be able to go buy them. We get them from Michelin directly, so if you're wondering where we got them, can't get them where we get them most likely. So unfortunately, I don't know where you can get them, but keep your eye out when these do come available. I highly recommend basically every tire from Michelin.